disappoint him, and he would remain alone. But then the curse began to whisper in his ear, and would confirm what was Amumu's biggest fear. It pledged that never shall someone become his friend. It pledged that he shall be alone until his end. But sorrow and despair became too much to bear. The moment when Amumu realized what he had done, too late it was for him, for them, the evil curse had won. The anger and the anguish overwhelmed his fragile soul, and caused a wicked tantrum that he never could control.
Hello and welcome back to the OCS Playoffs 2019. That game absolutely smacked out of the park by Gravitas.
Quick and easy.
Yep, sitting at a 1-0 scoreline right now. Best of 3, so single game victory means match point for here for Legacy backs against the wall. And yeah, some changes probably need to be made in this one because that was an absolute routing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious where Legacy's mental is at coming into this one.
Okay.
Just because, they lose First Blood, then they lose the game. It's not a good place to be. And moving forward, knowing you lose one more and it's like the entire OCS season gone just like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, especially, when you didn't have that tie break that Gravitas had. So, yes, you're looking Mammoth and Dire Cubs. They're the teams with buys. Really, you can say Legacy and later Mprox also had a buy as well, if you consider tie breaks part of the playoffs. So, coming off of that buy, that extra time to prepare, and then you just get smacked around like that.
Yeah.
So not a good place to be.
Because that really does kind of throw things out the window. When you're looking at the end of season in a general sense, it's like, oh, I get a bye. It's a less risky place to be in the playoffs. But as soon as you lose a singular game, it's like, oh, okay. These guys have been they've been playing there was tiebreakers. They had to play 3 games. They didn't make it out in 2 order. They had an extra one. So they had the extra practice on stage on this patch, which depending on the way you kind of look at it does change things. It's like, oh yes, we've seen what Gravitas want to play. This is a good situation for us as Legacy to be in. We just get to watch them. And then you come out and it's like, okay, well, they did exactly what you expected them to do. And you lost anyway, so things need to adapt, right? And I looked it up in the break. It was the Pike, it was the Bard, it was the GP. It was triple target ban straight away. Does now Twitch have to get added into that camp here for Legacy? They do switch sides, which I think makes it harder, but I think he is more pinnacle than potentially the Bard or the Pike here. For Gravitas.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Just because I feel a lot of the advantages the Twitch got, again, were from that early First Blood and from sort of the early pressure on the outside of the map. So was it really the Twitch? Or was it losing those early advantages from a play that didn't really have much to do with the Twitch at all? Granted, we've now seen 2 pop-off games in a row.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? It comes down to comfortability, and even just switching things up breaks the cycle of what like the series is. I've said this for years. When you get to like best of threes, best of fives, like best of fives more so best of threes, given that they just have 2 less games, potentially 3, depending on what the scoreline is. But they do kind of develop their own little insular meta. You go in with the context of like the broader patch, like okay, we're playing 9.14 League of Legends, and that's what we're doing. But as soon as like one player is playing super well on like one champion, it's just like I don't care if this is literally like the most dog champion on the patch. Like if he's popping off, then obviously something is working. So maybe something to look at. For Gravitas though, like coming into this one, game number 2, in tiebreakers, they lose to Chiefs. They're able to turn that one around. Now versus Legacy, yeah, they're just sitting in a very good position. They lost to them during the regular season, but already 1-0 up, sitting pretty.
Yeah, riding that momentum for sure. Gravitas, and they're looking stronger and stronger, I feel like, with each game since dropping that first tiebreaker game to the Chiefs. I'm curious, you know, do they continue that? Are they able to, like, put Legacy away in 2 essentially 25-minute games? I want to say no, just because I like good competitive league, but from everything we saw already, I feel Legacy is in such a difficult situation.
Yeah,
It's time to pull the rabbit out of the hat, you know? Let's pull off some of those secret picks.
Yeah, I think what I expect to happen here for Legacy, GP, it's going to be the Bard, and then, okay, no, that's already out the window, and then I think the Twitch has to get hit as well. I think, given that they've gone towards the Casio, Twitch will likely be the second ban, and then they need a non-negative bottom side, right? Like, just play a standard bottom lane matchup. Play an AD carry and a support. Don't do the Tahm Kench, don't do the Sona. I think that game, unfortunately for Draken, like, the Sona didn't look all that crash hot. That's going to be a Vladimir, so targeting the solo lane is not the bot, but... yeah, they need to switch something up, and this is definitely a change from game number 1.
It is a change, and it appears Legacy may have listened to me in that Twitch is still left up. Twitch was not who they decided to target. They targeted the solo lanes instead. I'm not too surprised. I mean, it was a hard one for Chungi up against that Vladimir as well.
Oh, yeah, that sucked.
I mean, Guapi was kind of like the silent hero as well for Gravitas, so definitely showing him the respect he deserved with that Vladimir bad. Morgana, though, is going to be the first one taken away, and already that's going to make it difficult for Legacy if they want to play around the bot side of the map.
Yeah, it does. It kind of negates any early pressure you can kind of throw towards a Morgana. If you want to play like a winning bot side matchup, you have to go more extreme in terms of like enchanters. You can't pick an Alistar, you can't pick a Braum with a Lucian and hope to get things done. Yuumi excels in this sort of stuff. It's like the Yuumi, the Karma, the Sona, even like the long range poke sort of mages, and definitely fits the bill. Lucian Yuumi is kind of the second wave of Yuumi lanes rather. Like on release, it was the Sivir, the Ezreal, and then people just started pairing it with, yes, he can take the TP, but also can bully lane pretty hard. So I like this choice here for Legacy, completely flipping the script of game number 1. And it's not going to be a Twitch, it's going to be a Kai'Sa for Retribution.
Yeah, Kai'Sa is still a very strong pick. Still in the meta, can either scale, but still has that deceptive burst damage. Especially, you know, with the follow-up from the Dark Binding, able to get those stacks quickly. There's my silver analysis overdone. This is what the champion can do.
Land Binding, press Q.
Get kill.
Do damage.
Sometimes it's as simple as that, though.
Yeah, especially on like a Yuumi, right?
Yeah,
that champion she just dies.
Yep.
If you're on your own, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Well, why not is actually going to be able to stay on his own comfort pick for himself. The Xin Zhao was quite strong in that first game, and we're going to be seeing it again.
Oh, okay. Lee Sin would be the rematch, but this is diving even further into the early game extremes. Hail of Blades, Xin Zhao, potentially matched by something like an Elise. You already have a lane that you can pressure. When you look at like jungle matchups and the ability to influence the early game, Xin Zhao, you don't really think of like dive potential, right? It's like wrap around, it's just I bring the CC and the damage, I will win skirmishes. Elise does change things, because normally you look at a jungler, it's like, where's he going to go? This lane has priority, they're pushing underneath the turret, that becomes hard to deal with, but when you're an Elise and you have Repel, it's very easy to make level 3, level 4, level 5 dives work pre-ulti sort of phase, and Elise is going to want to get down and dirty in the early game with Why Not. We are into the second phase of bans here.
It does make me very curious to actually see what OP winds up on to kind of go with this Elise as well, because I want to see a mid laner with that kill potential as well to really help snowball even further Legacy's early game. It really feels as if what they have so far, they're doubling down on we're going to win this game hard really quickly, or we're going to get blown up.
Yeah, I think like right now, like you can look at Elise and you can look at Lucian and like potentially scaling off, but it's not like Gravitas is going into Oblivion just yet. I think the last couple of picks will be super telling as to how this game progresses. You mentioned it, what are they going to pick to pair with the Elise early game? They could go back towards the Sylas, like you have gank set up. it could be another one of these situations where you have early game jungler to get your lanes through the laning phase. Azir fits the bill pretty well. Tristana is banned. Maybe it's going to be like a Corki answer here for the Azir, but this is kind of a meta blind pick right now. Azir very stable, just happily going to take that one in the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't believe we'll be seeing the Veigar locked in, but who knows?
It could. It's genuinely a decent answer. Like super long range is hard to gank, especially for something like an Elise. Like if you get hit by
Cocoon?
No, the ring.
Event
Horizon for
Event
the Veigar.
Horizon, yes.
Like you literally just die. They've already got like 4 squishy champions, so I like this lock-in. I am expecting it to be towards like the Glacial Augment sort of build, and that would make things very interesting.
No.
Well, it can't be Elise in. It's definitely going to be a top laner here for Guapi. Has some choices to make.
Shen makes sense.
Maybe. I would expect it to be something else, much more aggressive. That makes more sense in my eyes. When you have kind of guaranteed CC flying in your direction, like a Cocoon, playing outplay potential of the riposte. Certainly a big boon here for Guapi. Is a risky choice, the blind pick Fiora, and we'll see what Chungi is going to answer it with.
I do like the idea of the Poppy just for the steadfast presence. I feel that would sort of push back a lot of Gravitas' early game aggression and could help them transition to that later game.
I
But
like that.
it's the Renekton, you know. We talked about it at the very, very start. We're going to be seeing this champion today. I'm happy I am not proven incorrect.
This is going to be a volatile matchup on the top side. So much skill expression, and I think the top side is probably going to be where we see the most of this attention, right? Like the Fiora, the Renekton, this can go one way, and it can go that way incredibly quickly as soon as you pair it with something like the Xian, like the Elise. Both of these guys coming into game number 2. Gravitas somewhat changing their strategy. I say somewhat. They still scale very well, right? Like they have a Kai'Sa. Depending on the build, you can see like the tier build, or you can just see like the standard 80 carry Stormrazor sort of stuff. But once again, they have themselves a split pusher for Guapi. He plays the GP, he plays the Vladimir, plays the Fiora. This much more indexing in the side lane 1v1 than something like a Vladimir, but certainly similar sort of game plan. But Legacy really the ones that switch it up here for game number 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I do agree with you. This top lane is going to be the fun one to keep an eye on. What I find most interesting, though, as a result of this, is the 2 teleports in the mid lane, and whether or not one of these sides actually, like, almost commits to an early all-in to try and get that top lane going. And for that to happen, you know, you'd expect one of the mid lanes to shove in. This is sort of, I'm definitely projecting. I feel like it may be going a little bit out of my own personal comfort zone, but I kind of want to see one of the mid laners really play the lane hard and go for that early, like really, really early play on the top side.
Yeah, I think this is definitely some of that play-by-play delving into color territory.
Yeah. Tell me why I'm wrong.
And I just look at the matchup and I'm like, man, that's Veigar versus Zir. Yeah. These guys are definitely like early recall into first buy, TP back to lane. I just want to farm. Like, maybe if things happen, there'll be like a TP to defend against a gank. You would expect Hot Shelly to be much more willing than Appy on the Azir. Veigar early, at least he has CC. Azir pre-6 in terms of like teleport threat.
I'm saying what I want to see happen,
kind of
not what is going to happen. There's a big difference there. And of course, the play-by-play is going to want to see the fight. He's going to want to see the action. This is quarterfinals. This is everything on the lines. Let's get silly. Let's break the meta and go for fights. Yeah. Let's play solo queue.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Potential 5-man invade into a 4-man stack. Veigar going into the mid lane.
I do feel he's close enough to group with the team should anything happen, but yeah, these are 2 volatile teams very close to each other right now. Legacy sort of waiting for that invade, and Why Not is stepping forward. He's walking into the bush, and he is getting blown up. First blood, this time going to Legacy.
Yeah, the tide has turned. This time Gravitas get punished for the level 1 shenanigans. Legacy with a very intelligent read, and this time it was the Renekton that starts the W. You don't really want that for laning phase, but to lock down the Xin Zhao, first blood goes to the Lucian, and that's not really a lane that you can afford to lose things early, right? This is double combat summoner of the Yuumi. Early lanes and early levels, I should say, can be oppressive if she doesn't have to play negative at all. If she could just play offensively, just continually look for that Q poke and that harass. You can see has gone the Comet variant, so is a little bit more potent in the early stages than you would expect. Now a Lucian with a long sword and an extra potion is going to be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Legacy got that first blood so quickly, there was enough time for Drakon to get some early items, so I'm expecting a lot of abuse going to be thrown towards Gravitas on the bot side of the map. And if you're Why Not, how does this change how you're approaching this jungle? Because before you might be thinking there's going to be more top lane focus, but with bot lane already sort of at that disadvantage, do you adjust your strategy or do you trust in your lane to sort of fight through it?
Yeah, I think it does change things a little bit. You may just have to look towards bottom side in terms of dissuading any pressure. I expect the Xin Zhao will want to just be kind of chasing around the Elise as much as possible. It is interesting that we have actually got ourselves a Dark Harvest Elise here. See, the other opportunity is sort of the Electrocute that you more commonly see, but maybe this allows him to scale a little bit better into the late game and not just become a Cocoon bot. But yeah, you mentioned it. It does kind of skew the jungle matchup a little bit more towards bot side, you would expect, but it's kind of hard for the Xin Zhao to get things done down here. Lucian Yuumi is a hard lane to attack when your CC setup is realistically just a Morgana. It's hard to land. This is becoming obnoxious here for the Renekton. Does have CC inbuilt, but yeah, Guapi making quick work of the Crocodile in the early lanes.
I mean, Guapi's doing it while he knows he should be safe. If he's tracking his opponent's jungle where he should be, it's like, all right, this is my window to harass. But that window is starting to close as Lisa is starting to look more towards the top side. Something, though, swades it away, so no play to be had just yet.
Yeah, potentially taking a look at the wave, not wanting to fight through that one, and a potential counter gank. I believe both teams know that they start out on the bottom side of the map, so both junglers are going to end up in the same territory. And a very intelligent path here from Wynot. If a gank does come from the Elise, and a level 3 top lane gank for an Elise, super common, absolutely broadcast here is something you would expect. So Xin gets himself in the lane bush, and now that the wave has crashed, gets his laner a little bit of that safety, and it's no longer needed.
Dark Binding connecting actually on the K-pop, and the damage is there.
And that's what we said in Champions Select. If Yuumi is split off her AD carry, incredibly easy to take her down. This is a Cocoon.
Yeah, Cocoon does connect, but Lisa, even with that red buff, doesn't really have a lot of damage just yet. Guapi trying to turn it around. Lisa buying time. Oppius makes his way there, but so has Wynot. It's chaos in the jungle as Wynot gets a kill. A nice defensive flash from Guapi gets him out. Hot Chili trying to do what he can. Only people who plays with the Event Horizon.
And whose reaction is that? Get Cocooned by Elise. She throws all of her damage into the Fiora, and Guapi actually dashes forwards looking for the fight, turning that one around and barely scrapes his way over the Baron wall. Walks away with his life on about 10 HP, and the lanes do collapse to secure it, so yeah, super proactive play there from the Fiora. Gets himself the double Doran's Blade. You can see that's clearly a gentleman's agreement in the top side of the map. They want that early laning pressure, and both of them opting in.
Yeah, what I'm liking out of Gravitas right now, though, is at the start of this game, it's sort of flipped from what we saw Game 1 with Legacy getting that early first blood, but Gravitas is still playing that same aggressive style, something which Legacy really didn't do the first time around. And with that, Gravitas has kind of already brought themselves back, you know, to even. It's not quite a lead just yet if we're going by gold scores. However, they're playing like it is a lead. They're still playing as if, you know, they are in control of everything. Yeah,
it's just like super offensive League of Legends, right? Like this, in my head, thinking about Guapi as kind of a player, in terms of like OPL plays you can compare to, is something along the lines of like ZZZ when he was playing for Regicide. And yes, like their team scoreline wasn't super great, but you take a look at him in isolation, like he was doing real good work against like the top laners, the top laners in the OPL for multiple weeks of like regular season, right? And this guy comes out, picks Fiora blind pick, counter picks with a Renekton, gets himself and engineers like an early kill for his team that was super class topside, flashes over the Baron pit and walks away with it. So once again, Gravitas starting the game off quite well. It's only 2 kills to 1 right now. 600 gold is realistically nothing to write home about, but definitely a start you like here from the blue side. Legacy still looking to make things happen.
I mean, it's a start that you'd like, and as you're mentioning, it's not a big deal on the larger scale of things, but considering their start, it actually is pretty significant as Wynot getting some pressure down onto Obby, not going to be able to get the flash, unfortunately.
Yeah. Has his jungler towards bottom side. I believe a ward just spotted out the Elise tracking into enemy jungle, so they should know exactly what's going on, and you can see immediately back ping onto the bottom lane. Actually looked like that could have been Legacy's ping, so they're just like, no, we don't want to gank lane pushing in, we just want to farm this wave and don't want to look for any fight past that one, but this is an opportunity being looked at on the top side. Golems is just going to be the prize here for the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit too small of a window, I think, to commit for this gank. I mean, we have that knowledge of knowing that Lisa is beelining towards that top lane. Junglers might actually run into each other, but because the wave is pushed out, it would be hard for Jungi to further collapse onto Wynot. Guapi is there first, and they're looking for the fight. Lisa taking a lot of abuse and might actually go down. The kill will be secured by Guapi. Hot Chili there as well with the Event Horizon. Chunky held in base, has to burn flash underneath the tower.
Yeah, just super quick play here from Gravitas Academy. Hot Chili already walking up to the play if the Elise didn't face check, then maybe the plan is just dive top lane anyway and come up in a win-win scenario. Elise falls down. Renekton has to slink away, flashes out of the E from Veigar. Now 20 CS deficit for the Renekton on the top side. Fiora absolutely having the start she wanted. Turret plating with a Demolish proc as well. This is a huge start for the top side of Gravitas.
Okay, so I know teleport wasn't used, but does this still count as that early mid lane roam I was talking about in the champ select? Because it was a case where Hot Chili did push it forward, saw the play was happening, rotated up, and Oppie wasn't able to react.
Yeah, right? That's what happens. Yeah. You get lane priority.
Yeah, lane priority.
You go for a wander, and it's like, all right, guys, I'm catching the wave.
So there was no teleport, but was what I wanted to see. Like, which mid laner would be able to help out that top lane first? And in this instance,
Hot Chili wins.
Yeah.
Comes up, super proactive roam on a Veigar, not something you necessarily see very often.
No.
But
I'm counting that as a win. I called it. I'm claiming it. I'm your new color guy.
Finds himself a window, and he uses it. Uses it well.
You're not going to let me have this one, are you? No, you're not. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I can do my own victory dance in my own head.
Sure.
As this match continues onwards right now, I'm starting to get more and more impressed with Why Not and his pathing in both these games so far on this Xin Zhao. He's proven to be very competent on this champion, and once again, he's in that situation where he's, you know, enabling the sort of win lane, win game mentality as Oppie. Nice little dodge.
Yeah, actually able to dodge out from the damage. Pre-Merc Treads, that was kind of the old school counter to Veigar. Everybody has to stack up a Merc Treads or die, really, in a team fight. We're not at that stage just yet, but dodges out of the W damage. You can see Fiora getting a little bit annoying underneath that turret. Oh, looked for the passive pop, but is unable to find the Vital there.
Yeah, not going to happen this time around. Still more aggressive play out of Gravitas across the board as Why Not's looking for it. The Event Horizon does not connect, so Oppie should be safe, but Why Not still wants it. Emperor's Divide under the tower. This is biting off way more than you can do, but the damage is there. Oppie barely surviving. Lisa with the flank is able to get 2 kills for Legacy.
Yeah, clutch play from the Azir. Emperor's Divide sends out back into the turret, and he already hit him with the mark, so couldn't knock him anywhere. Why Not dies, Hot Chili gets cleaned up off the back end, and Legacy, they find their way onto the scoreboard here, equalizing in kills, only 400 gold apiece right now, and you can see a reasonable gold lead starting to accrue here for the Azir.
Yeah, and it happens right after we're sort of saying, like, Gravitas is really playing aggressive. I like this. Well, apparently Legacy liked that as well, kind of waited with that trap, able to secure that kill from a bit of over-aggression from Gravitas. Maybe this will keep him humble. I kind of still want to see Gravitas continue that same tempo, though.
Yeah, you can see like this is now both junglers with very nice reads on what is happening on the map. I mentioned the early path from Why Not. He goes top for the Fiora to shove her lane in and be fine and dissuade any sort of counter gank that eventually did not come here, but this time in the mid lane gets a little bit too aggressive. Lisa lying in wait, Appy flashless, but did have a very good answer. Throws the Xin Zhao into the turret and able to turn this one around. So gold going to the places they needed in the hands of Legacy, right? They have the Azir, they have the kill on the Lucian that stemmed from that first blood. Is going to be the tier build here for the Kai'Sa. That is
that Event Horizon does connect, and Why Not has the damage this time around. That's what they wanted from before.
Yeah, that's the Veigar combo. Lock him in the cage, hit your R button, and that's a very quick kill. Flash was expended from both members. You can see the commit was there. That's a culling.
Culling and the final chapter coming down. A good spell shield, though. Buying time for a Meld. They might try to turn this around, but Retribution is slow low. It's risky. K-Pop is the one with the kill.
Yeah, looking for the turnaround is Gravitas, but unfortunately do not have the damage. Now both junglers tracking down. Why Not? Maybe getting baited here.
Yeah, this is a 3v2 situation. They have no idea Lisa is there, and Why Not jumping in regardless. Here comes the teleport as Why Not is able to secure 1 kill. He's buying time. Appy arrives, secures it, but 1 for 1.
Yeah, very nice read from Legacy, but mechanical error from the Elise means that Drakon does lose his life. Advantage still will go in their direction. You can see the recall from Hot Chili in the mid lane means there's no punish, and Appy made his way down early. So both of these teams getting very active on the map right now. Plating's going to be taken down towards the bottom side as everybody just looks for their final reset after this play.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with all the action too happening on the bot side, it has enabled Guapi to continue to like step up and play even more aggressive on the top side. As you can see, that is the second tower plating going down into what was the counter pick matchup. So Guapi's A-okay with everything happening bot side, at least, and in a sense, so should be Gravitas, because the sooner they get the side lane pressure going and they can open up the map that way, maybe they can take it over. A flash cocoon forces out the shield. Emelg will flash defensively. Oppie still looking for it. No Emperor's Divide used.
Yeah, Black Shield kind of dissuades a lot there. Slows don't tick very early. They're not able to find the CC, and the chase ultimately just not worth it. So it did mean that the flash was traded between the jungler and support there. He's going to buy a little bit more time towards the top side. And this looks to be somewhat of Gravitas's game plan, right? If you're... I'm going to hold that.
Melg is in a bit of trouble. Dark Binding is slowing some of the attack. Retribution also in a bad place as a teleport is coming through. I don't see Gravitas getting out of this one. Both kills will be secured.
Yeah, you can see they look at top side and say there's no beating on that Figura, but Legacy committing super hard to the bottom lane. Rift Herald may mean that the turret race goes over to Gravitas, but Legacy certainly fighting back towards the other side. Now, first item completed here for the Lucian with the plates that are sure to come after this one. It's going to be getting closer to his 2-item spike. Huge there for a Lucian player as has the backup of that Yuumi. Now, this gold lead extending a little bit, but still under 1,000. So both of these guys within touching distance.
What I found interesting about that Rift Herald play, though, was why did not stick around to collect some of that gold? He opted to give all of the plating and the tower over to Guapi. So it tells me Gravitas, they want kills in mid lane as well. Like, the camp is continuing. I'm going to call it when I see it. That is a camp happening right now.
Straight up dives the mid lane time again. This time Emperor's Divide. Not quite enough to take him down, given that everybody was expended towards the bot turret. And these are just super quick games. Like, both of these teams coming out, Legacy, huge target on the bottom lane's back, and Gravitas, the complete opposite there, playing towards top side, and nobody relenting. It is really just kill after kill after kill. Kills traded left, right, and center. But small advantages being accrued here now for Gravitas. We're approaching that 1,000 lead, but item spikes are starting to be hit. Kai'Sa with a Manamune build means she does spike that little bit later. Need to get that tier upgrade, and it isn't really an Ezreal that just gets to spam abilities all over the place. She does stack it just a little bit slower, so they're waiting for their AD carry to come online somewhat as their support gets that little bit of an extra bonus. Yuumi doesn't have to waste gold on boots. When you're an AD carry, get some free-ass boots, you just kind of get to ride his back. You don't really need move speed that much, so somewhat akin to a Cassio that doesn't have to spend the gold and you get the move speed anyway.
Yuumi just gets to get away with so much. Doesn't need flash, doesn't need boots, doesn't need to, like...
the greediest champion of all time.
Yeah, you don't even need to really move. You just jump on your AD carry and let them do all the work. You just sit back and just throw mortars at the enemy.
Bounce around.
Yeah. Is Ocean Drake looking to be taken by Legacy this time around. No real opportunity for a contest out of Gravitas. Despite the positioning, they were almost thinking about it. In fact, ML might still be. Dark Binding does not quite connect as Chungi wants in on Guapi, so...
Yeah, short trade gets himself to safety, but you can see why Gravitas don't commit. No TP in the hands of their mid laner, has the spell book, but is invested into Flash and Ghost right now, so he just buys some time pushing topside. That's going to crash underneath the turret and eventually just be picked up here by the Legacy's bottom lane, but does mean, given the side lane matchups, Ocean Dragon is semi-relevant here, especially for the Renekton side, right? If that goes to the Fiora, then it does become just a little bit easier. Guapi has had the advantage ultimately like the entire game and has a sustain already for the Ravenous, so adding an Ocean Dragon to the mix would only make matters worse here for Chungi.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious to see how Gravitas will continue to play this game, because I feel with the amount of pressure that they've already gotten from their solo laners, if they're actually going to commit to this 1-3-1, Legacy I feel will be behind, despite the fact, yes, the bot lane for Legacy did go well. It's still hard to go up against, you know, this sort of playstyle when both of those solo laners did quite well in their laning phase.
Yeah, certainly is true. We'll have to track what sort of matchups we get given in the near future. Of course, it is double TP lanes from both of the solo lanes here, and even the bot side if you are Legacy right now. So they definitely have a lot of options open. Demolish procs seem to be doing like this little trickle damage that is happening on both sides of the map now. Guapi, he's able to push the waves in very quickly with the Ravenous, and then cheeky Demolish proc every couple of waves. I mean, these turrets are slowly getting whittled away on, but Chungi has closed the CS gap. It was much larger early in the game. I think it was approaching the 30 mark, and now with waves being caught is much closer to 15 when this one is taken underneath the turret. But between the last couple of minutes, things have slowed down significantly here. Both teams kind of waiting for their item spikes. Lucian close to 2. Azir close to his second completed one there, just sitting on the Stinger for now.
What I find interesting is Legacy, they actually seem to be like happy to put Drakon kind of in that solo lane situation moving forward. And I'm curious if that's something they're going to continue on just because of that lead that they had on the bot side before. And like Lucians can be solo laners. That said, Hot Chili actually is in the 2v1 situation, so Yuumi did rejoin him. The culling coming down. Hot Chili should be fine, though.
Yeah, it is okay. When you have like a Yuumi, it does make side laning a little bit easier. You can also see, like, Azir doesn't realistically want to stay in a side lane where he doesn't have a turret of his own. He can wave clear very well in the mid lane, as this is going to be a contest.
Trouble. The flash coming down to buy time, but so much damage out of Hot Chili does get one for his troubles.
Yeah, 1 versus 3 underneath the turret. Does claim the Lucian, so Legacy not going to get any turret damage off the back end of that one. Very nicely played from the Veigar. He's able to trade, but that's going to be a flash from the Xin Zhao. Looks like the Cocoon hits him in the face, and no kill is going to eventuate, but certainly an opportunity looked at there for why not.
Yeah, it definitely, you know, Gravitas continuing to try to look for those opportunities where they can. Guapi was able to take down that tier 1 tower on the bot side of the map as well, continuing that push. Chungi unable to stop the back. It looked dicey there for a moment.
Yeah, dicing. Basing in the enemy wolf pit is not something you see every day, but he's going to get himself to safety. And yeah, I was kind of mentioning, right, like when you have an Azir, he can just do this. He's been mid 1 versus 2 for probably, what, like 10, 15 waves now. Like, he's just eating waves underneath the turret. He has the Ludens, he has the range. There's no realistic way you're going to dive an Azir with flash. Even then, that was Chungi pushing bot, or Guapi, I should say, pushing bot, rotating towards the mid lane, was being chased by Chungi, but a Fiora's dive threat on an Azir underneath his own turret, realistically very low, so you can see Legacy very happy to just sit the Lucian in the side lane. The one thing that the Lucian kind of doesn't have going for him is that the New Age build, in terms of like the Essence Reaver first as opposed to the Bork or anything like that, means you don't have that extra chase potential, but
Oppie is one of the targets as there's more targets up above. Here comes Hot Chili straight down the middle. Damage being thrown down onto Oppie. He's the only one who really took a beating there, so Gravitas tried to make something happen, don't find anything, but the tower is in danger.
And you can see, as soon as Oppie leaves the safety of his turret, immediate flash burn away from the Veigar stun, and now Gravitas, significant advantage. Azir falling very low.
Guapi, though. Guapi in a 2v1 has to back away for now. The rotation's coming there from Gravitas, and Legacy don't want to pull that trigger. You have an Infernal Drake up in 30 seconds, so any summoner burned now can't be used to contest this dragon.
Yeah, super impactful here, the spawn. Favoring the timing here for Legacy, but everybody still has access to their ultis. Midwave being fought over right now. Gravitas conceding this one, but they want the early access. 13 seconds before the dragon is left to spawn.
Yeah, I mean, Vision right now is in Gravitas' favor. The bot lane shoving as well does help them. Hot Chili teleporting back into lane has gotten a bit more ability power and connects with the Event Horizon onto Chungi, but didn't drop the follow-up damage that way. So this Renekton's still quite healthy, but an ultimate has been burned, so that's one key ability gone. They can't contest the blue buff, but it does look like Gravitas will be getting this Infernal Drake unless Legacy step forward now.
Guapi wants the side lane contest, stops the recoil.
Oh, Emelg! Emelg is the one who's in trouble. That final chapter coming down, but it's not going to hold. It does! It actually catches Retribution on that last turn of the page, and here comes the Emperor's Divide. Why not? Gets obliterated by Legacy.
Yeah, does that grant them access to the mid lane? Yes, the dragon goes over. Infernal in the back pocket of Gravitas. Stun. Looking like it's going to land onto the Azir, but wave already being pushed in, and this may have granted them access to this outer turret in the mid lane. Super important to take this one down. Demolish proc is certainly going to secure it here. So yes, dragon gone, but kill secured, turret taken down, opening up the map here for Legacy.
Yeah, no one, though, responded to what Guapi did. I actually kind of like that. That was a real cheeky bot lane push coming out of Guapi following everything. Just goes ahead and slams the wave in. Unfortunately for Gravitas, that tower is still a bit too healthy, so Legacy not going to lose too much. Guapi sticking around. Chungi might... Yeah, he'll be there to defend. They're not going to fight. I wanted them to fight. I'm feeling that bloodlust, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting how that started. Like, it was Chungi cancelling a reset. Or being cancelled by Guapi. Fiora just kind of greedily steps up, face checks a bush. Yes, gets stunned in the head, but he's a Triforce Ravenous Fiora at 20 minutes. He's absolutely online. There's not even a Black Cleaver completed here for Chungi, of course. Renekton has to pay like the Tiamat tax for early wave pressure, just so he's not just losing damage on his turret every single wave. His ability to clear that out is super important, not to mention like animation cancelling, stuff like that. So it's really... The Fiora playing on the precipice of the engage range here from Legacy, and it walks away with Infernal Dragon. Not for any sort of recourse, though. The kill did go over. Now Azir sitting 3 and 2. Lucian 2 and 2. You can see both of those carries. Double item spikes with Veigar just lagging behind a little bit somewhat here.
But Baron on the map right now, and Gravitas, they're looking to possibly catch out Legacy as they might move to get some vision around that pit area. It's a good defensive positioning, and K-Pop, a Yuumi on their own is a dead Yuumi. Why not puts the cat down?
He's got slapped.
And Hot Chili wants more. The flash for Event Horizon and the follow-up damage is there. 2 quick picks for Gravitas.
Yeah, left cheek, right cheek, just slaps them both. That's 2 members dead, flashless on both targets. Appy not having his and K-Pop just straight up not taking the summoner. So Gravitas, very proactive play there. Super upfront from Hot Chili. Flash, E engage. And you can see on the way ping to the Baron, they have 20 seconds to play with before the mid laner Azir spawns. No vision there for Legacy, so a contest would be hard. Lisa may just find 2 members in a bush. Blind Cocoon, not going to hit anyone.
That's not what it wanted, or did they? Why not? Takes advantage to jump in onto Lisa, but Lisa is actually trying to run Xin down. Baron has still been started despite that kind of odd engage, but without Why Not there, it's doing so much work, and Gravitas have to back out.
Yeah.
Bot lane, though, look at the damage from Guavi, but Chunky's almost able to turn it around. It's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, just trading kills on the side lane. 600 gold shutdown, nothing to be scoffed at. Certainly does favor the Renekton there. Yes, he's getting dove underneath his turret, but a huge burst of gold, and ultimately, Legacy do not lose the Baron. That was 2 picks, mid lane turret dies, and almost taken it, but...
Can we just go back to that blasting cone?
Yeah, the blasting cone really, a little bit of a yikes there from Gravitas, and then they still do the Baron with their jungler in enemy lines, so...
Yeah, losing a trade.
Yep.
Jungler's losing a trade. Yeah, let's go for that Baron. It was an ambitious play. Doesn't pay off, as you would probably expect considering how it started. I am a bit, though, more surprised, actually, that Guapi wasn't able to get the kill and get out against Chunky, considering how ahead he was. And with that 600 gold bounty, as you're mentioning, Chunky definitely can find himself back into this one. The Black Cleaver has now been completed, so a significant power spike coming out of this Renekton. That's really going to hurt the side lane pressure coming from the blue side, and could be the door opening for Legacy to really take control back over in this game.
Yeah, because I'm not an expert in terms of like Renekton Fiora scaling 1v1 pressure in a side lane, but once Renekton gets to Shojin, absolutely fine underneath his turret. I can't see a way that Guapi just continually getting to build up, like maybe towards like a Sterax if he can pop the ulti super early, but you saw that engage there. I believe the stun landed from Chungy and is able to trade BF Sword into Shojin purchase fairly soon. Means that he just has stun after stun, and only 1 riposte will not be enough to deal with him. So certainly wants to get towards the breakpoint. Isn't in a good situation, but approaching the next item is probably fine defending underneath his turret without losing more. And as you mentioned, it's kind of like the further you get towards enemy base territory, you start whacking away at an inhib. It does become a little bit harder to make progress. This is an engage in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Melg jumped on, but not a lot of damage here. Here comes the teleport from Guapi. Why not as well getting to that backline? Lisa has to flash eventually. Emperor's Divide does not save Oppie from Hot Chili, but Chunky gets into the backline himself. Retribution so low, it won't get cut down. 2 kills going to Gravitas.
Yeah, team fight goes their way. 2 members dead, 30, 40 seconds to play with, and Dragon is the call. Immediate pings into enemy jungle. Guapi going for the greedy play, but they don't need him to secure the Dragon, so blue buff is going to get handed over as well. Didn't really see how that one started. ML had to kind of walk away with the Black Shield, but Legacy get baited into the fight, and Gravitas completely turned that one around.
I'm actually surprised how hard of a commit that probably was out of Legacy, considering Melk is still sitting with Flash, so the pick wasn't even clean enough to get that summoner. Gravitas very easily able to turn that around as Guapi. The damage from this Fiora, there is not much Lisa can do except for buy time. Good use of the stopwatch right there, but Guapi is still able to turn it around with that parry. Drakon flashes in place and gets the kill.
Okay, secures the shutdown once again onto the Fiora. Yes, inhib turret dies, but the inhib does not. Appy does have TP, so yes is in the bot side, but will get himself towards the Baron pit. It's going to be a 4 versus 4, but no jungler here for Legacy means no smite available.
Oh my gosh, Baron's already gone. That Baron died so quickly, but can Gravitas escape? Appy doesn't want to commit. It's still a little too early. The rest of the team not quite there, so Gravitas do get away with this one. They kill the jungler, secure the Baron. Makes sense to me.
Yep, Mountain Dragon, Infernal Dragon means damage numbers go through the roof. Winsu's 80 carry as well as the Manamune pop, so Retribution damage spiked incredibly in the last couple of minutes, and that just means that Baron immediately wiped Legacy, not willing to look for just the blind chase into enemy territory. You know, they do have chase tools, the Yuumi Q, the Azir could have looked for a flank, but when you see absolutely nothing, is dangerous territory.
Why not immediately Cocoon dropped into culling, but with the help of that Black Shield stays relatively healthy, should be able to walk away. I have seen so many death bushes this series. It's actually a bit ridiculous.
Well, you just think about the champions, right? Like, face checking is in Zhao, you die. Face checking Elise, you die. There's so many of these situations where you do just face check a stun immediately, and it is just a super bad time, so...
Yeah, it's been both games.
Yeah.
The first game as well, there was a lot of this, and I'm not sure if it's, you know, a symptom of the meta. More accurately, it's probably a symptom of these team compositions. However, I would like to see a bit more, you know, willingness to sort of sit back and like, should I go into this bush? We don't know where they are. This could be a trap. I don't know. Hot Chili going very far forward. Does get the stun and so much burst. Hoppy doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, hits him with the outplay. QW and the R button is a dead Azir.
And Guapi is also looking for this fight. You have the teleport coming in, but Drakon with the Yumi. Lost Chapter comes down, does not connect as Hot Chili has arrived. It's a good stun on a Chunky. Retribution from over the wall as well. Lisa trying to buy some time, gets the shutdown, so it's 1-for-1, but the inhibitor does fall, and the push seems to continue. Gravitas trying to siege this Nexus Tower as Legacy is looking to make that stand, but with those Baron-empowered minions, and the damage coming from this Fire, Hot Chili is on a rampage. They get to the back line. It's a double kill and an ace for Gravitas, and they look to be going to the semifinals. They win the quarterfinals.
And in super dominant fashion, right? A straight up 2-0. Knocking Legacy out of the tournament from tiebreakers, coming in as the 6th seed. Yeah, and just making their way up the ladder here, barely scraping through. It was a 2-1 victory with Juves on the roster there for tiebreakers coming through, but ML comes back to the lineup. They look reinvigorated, slapping down a Legacy. That was 6th versus 3rd, right? Like 1 and 2 have a bye round straight into the semifinals. This is the biggest gap in terms of ladder rankings that you could get in the quarters, and that's just a straight up 2-0.
Gravitas looks so strong. Amelg, like, I think China may have been his like hyperbolic time chamber, because he is coming back from those uni games looking as strong as ever. Like, he amazing in the top lane on the Fiora in that second game. And Gravitas, the 6th seeded team, and now they're going to be Guapi, not Amelg. My apologies. But yeah, now they're going to be moving forwards to take on the Dire Cubs, I believe, in the semifinals.
So that's it. Like, housekeeping rise, right? Like, Gravitas straight up through the quarterfinals. That's a 2-0. Legacy, unfortunately, this isn't the tiebreakers. There's no double elim. That is going to be the end of their season. I want to touch on them real quick, I guess. That is a team where, like, they definitely had their identity for the first start of the split. I feel like towards the end, what we just saw from them here, they went back towards, like, the standard meta read. It's like the Azir. They had the standard sort of top side stuff. Maybe the meta shifting away a little bit from the Sejuani, the Camille, the Ryze flex that they had been so proactive with, and yeah, did, and unfortunately ended up in a 0-2 here today.
Yeah, they didn't seem prepared to handle the sort of aggressive play that Gravitas was coming out with in both those games. They felt from the back foot almost with the word go, even with the first blood that they got in game 2. Gravitas was able to turn that right back around. I remember, like, throughout a lot of the OCS, we had been calling Legacy the sort of benchmark team, as in, you know, if you're better than Legacy, you're in a very good position. If you're kind of worse than Legacy, maybe you're struggling a little bit. And Gravitas, for the most part, had been sort of below them. But with how they've been playing, I think they definitely earned their spot above that benchmark.
Yeah, 100% there, right? Like, coming out, and that was, like you mentioned it, like, super aggressive play. Like, from Gravitas, this is a completely different Gravitas. Like, the start of the split, I'm looking at it, and it's like, maybe strength of schedule. We were having this conversation off broadcast, plays a bit there in the early leagues. And I'm just like, oh, like, this team actually looks pretty good. Like, Wynot and Grappy are coming online very early. And then towards, like, week 8, 9, 10, like, around that sort of, like, later season, it's like, okay, like, what is happening with this roster? You saw a couple of changes. They lose their support for Jews. They lose their top laner for Rival. And things look a little bit shaky. But now, like, through tiebreakers, they make it through with Juves. I'm going to call it what it is. That was 100% a handicap, like Braum duty, but they make it work. MLG, or Emelg, sorry, Sean, comes back into the lineup, completely reinvigorated, and just aggressive League of Legends straight up stomped their way to a 2-0 victory into semis.
Yeah, they looked very, very strong right there. And if you're the Dire Cubs, maybe you're a little bit nervous, because that is a big wave of momentum coming their way. Yeah,
right. All the way, potentially 6th place going up against the 2nd seed here. We'll be waiting for them. But next game is going to be Mprox versus Order. That was a very quick 2-0. I'm expecting maybe a much more even series here between Order and Mprox. But yeah, time will tell. That's going to be 10 minutes away, guys. So go grab a drink, go grab a cheeky little snack. We'll see you soon.